If you've ever noticed that an overdrive sounds like a waterfall and you found it to be calming rather than annoying, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. For the sake of this video, I'm going to turn it off because somebody thought it's a vacuum cleaner, and it's not. It's a little overdrive waterfall. It's Patrick again. I bought this Ibanez 540R, made in 1988, a couple of days ago, and I made a video about comparing this guitar to the Joe Satriani series of guitars for the reason that the body is basically the same. And I thought I'd make a little follow-up video only talking about this guitar because I think it's very interesting. And you might be interested in buying yourself one of these because I actually really like it a lot. So here we go, the 540R. The R stands for radius, which is not to be confused with the radius of the fretboard, because we measured the fretboard and it's curved. It's actually not exactly flat. And there's different kinds of radius guitars. Old style Stratocasters have 7 1/4. This one has 17-inch radius. So I'll show you with the measurement tools after I yappity-yap about this guitar on a white piece of paper, and you will be able to see the difference, and it's a big difference. So 17-inch is very flat. What this is basically a Joe Satriani Ibanez with a flatter fingerboard, but the neck is not as thin as you are familiar with Ibanez necks on different Ibanez guitars, like an RG series guitar. It's a little thicker. For me, that's good because I like Stratocasters. 17 inches is a little flat for me. I prefer 9.5 or even 7 1/4 because I'm a Strat guy. But I can play this because it's not as thin, but it's not thick either. So if you're into that, get yourself one of these. So the 540R, I wrote this out. I'll hold it up to the camera later so you can read it all. Was introduced by Ibanez for 1987. This is a 1988 because in 87 they had the 3 toggle switches for selecting the pickups, and in 88 they changed to the traditional 5-way switch. They're all made in Japan, and they were part of the Roadstar Pro Series. So the 540P, the 540 Power, you know from Satriani's Not of This Earth cover, which I held in the camera in the other video, but just for you guys who haven't seen that video, that's the 540P, which a lot of people sell online as the genesis of the JS series guitars, which is not true because it's a completely different body. This, the 540R, and check out the other video. I'm not going to yap about it again. What shows us about it actually. So the 540P, the Power, the 540S, the Saber, and the 540R radius, which is what that is. The 540R has a significantly sculpted body with flowing lines, which is not marketing BS, it's actually true. And the side profile has an airfoil shape, which means it's thinner at the top than at the bottom. And it's true, when you look at it, it's a very, very sexy body. It's very comfortable to play, and it's very light. Weighs 3.1 kilos, which is 6.8 pounds. I did weigh it with my digital scale. The neck on this guitar, very interesting. I did not know. It's an Ultra neck. It's called the Ultra. It's a one-piece maple with a rosewood board, as you can tell. It's a 25.5-inch scale length. It's a bolt-on. It's got 22 frets. The pearlite position markers are a little smaller in this one than on the 88 and up models. They made them a little bigger. It's a minor detail. It's got a 17-inch radius fingerboard, which is very flat. Equals out to 430 millimeters, if you're into millimeters. I actually compared on this page, which I'm going to hold up to the camera later so you can pause it and look at it. I compared the Ultra neck to the Wizard neck as far as the width and the thickness goes, which is very interesting. It's got 6105 frets on it. The nuts are top lock 3, and the machine heads are Goto SG 38s. High quality stuff. Ibanez always does good work. At least they're Japanese made guitars. The body's basswood, and it came out in a variety of finishes, which I'm not gonna read all of them, but you'll be able to look at them on this page later. This is called Fountain Blue, And they made exactly 72 of these, which is one of the reasons that I bought this guitar, Fountain Blue, which is a really interesting color when you see it in the flesh. Sometimes it's gray, sometimes it's silver, sometimes it's turquoise. It looks like water, basically, when you look at it. I don't know if I call it blue, essentially, because whatever, but it's a very, very cool color. And they made this in dark wine red too, also limited to 72. So if you find one of these made in 1988, 540R in dark wine red, if you're into that color more, pick yourself one of these up. 72 is very limited, so might be a good purchase. The pickups on this guitar are very interesting. I never owned a guitar with, you see, IBZ USA, which stands for Ibanez USA, which means that DiMarzio made these pickups for Ibanez. I've never owned a guitar with pickups like that. So this one's called an F1, and these are called C1. And I did some research on these. And by the way, you can find this guitar with, this is HSS, humbucker single coil. You can find the 540R with HH dual humbuckers. So that's basically a Satriani guitar with a flatter board. And if you want to get even closer, then put a PF Pro in the neck and a fret in the bridge, and then you have a Satriani guitar with a 17-inch radius. So there you go. I would find that info very helpful. Maybe some of you do too. The pickups are very interesting. So this is the F1, came out in 87, and the C1s came out in 87 too. They made the F2, the F3, and the 4 also, which are higher output. And they are 4-conductor, passive, ceramic magnets, and they also put them in the 540S. What I found online is interesting. If you know DiMarzio pickups, people say that this one, the F1, is almost identical as far as specs goes to a DiMarzio breed. So that's a very helpful information. They are in I don't remember which gem model, but they are in at least one gem model. It's a Steve Vai kind of thing. So the breed has 356 millivolts output, or 16.8K, and this one has 16.2K, so it's almost the same. And I wish I did not open that Pandora's box of millivolts versus DC resistance, because if you've ever been into pickups and their specs, you notice that DiMarzio usually, I'll tell you in a second, measures the output of their pickups in millivolts, MV, and everybody else basically uses DC resistance, DCR. And it's amazing how much shit people give each other online in different forums and what have you on YouTube videos about what's better, what's more accurate, nothing makes sense, you actually can't measure it like this, very scientific, very, who gives a shit? But it's kind of helpful to know if it's a high output or a low output, right? Whatever that means, but it means something. So anyway, the F1 sounds like a breed basically, so that helps you, I'm sure. A PF Pro, by the way, has 300 millivolts, and this one has 356, so it's a little hotter than the PF Pro. For me, that actually makes sense. The C1 and the they made the C2s and the C3s also later on. This is a C1 single coil. They also came out in 1987. Two conductor, middle or neck position. They also put them in the 540S, and they are also in the RG770. They are noiseless, and they complement mid to high output bridge humbuckers very well, and I can attest to that. I really like the sound. Somebody online said that they emailed DiMarzio asking them about the C1s, and allegedly DiMarzio told that person that the specs of the C1s are identical to the HS1 and HS2 series of DiMarzio pickups, HS humbucking system. They made the HS1, the HS2, the HS3. Eric Johnson, back in the day, used to put the HS2 in the bridge position. Yngwie Malmsteen made the HS3 famous, then went to the HS4, then broke up with Larry DiMarzio. Now he's with Seymour Duncan, and he's got the YJM Furies now. But that's interesting to know that the C1 single coils are about the same as the HS2s, HS1s by DiMarzio, which I like these a lot. They sound like true single coils. So, and they balance with the high output bridge humbucker really well, in my opinion. So I'm very happy. If you get one of these, I wouldn't change a thing. I would not put different pickups in this guitar. I don't see why. And I like the HSS because, you know, bridge and a neck humbucker is not a single coil, and even with the coil split on the Satriani, doesn't sound like a single coil. Way too hot. But these actually sound like a single coil, and they're noiseless. They're not a Strat, and they're not a Texas Special because I own Texas Specials. But very good. I like it. And I like single coil neck pickups. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse talking about the millivolt versus DC resistance. Y'all can do that yourselves and look it up, and it just makes my mind explode. Is there anything else that I left out? I don't think so. Just some blah 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 about DC resistance and some stuff that conspiracy theory that people say about the millivolts on the DCR. I'm not going to get into that. So I'm going to hold this up so you can look at the comparison of the Ultra versus the Wizard, and you can tell the difference, thickness and the width. Very interesting. And I'm going to hold up the finishes too. If you're looking for one of these, it's helpful to know what finish, what year, so you know exactly what to look for, and you can set your search filter on your guitar page of choice. So there you have it. Oh, and interesting also, and I mentioned that in the other video, I think, they made the 540R in HSH configuration too. And that's exactly what Joe used for the Black Dog, which is on the Flying in a Blue Dream cover. Because, and I know that from an interview with Joe, they took out the middle single coil and filled in the hole and painted it black. So it ended up being an HH. Why they didn't use an HH in the first place? Maybe they didn't make that in 87, see? Or 86, whatever. 87, 88, something like that. So anyway, that's interesting to know too. I think that's about it. Oh, the tremolo. It's an original edge tremolo on these guitars, which I like very much. Another detail that I almost forgot is that they actually came with a black box, a trem stopper, which puts the tremolo in a specific position, in a fixed position. So supposedly helps tuning stability and whatnot. I never cared for it. I honestly did not know much about it. I know that it exists, but I never owned one. And I didn't know that the 540Rs came with it installed. It's a cool little detail to know. I'll leave it in there. I'm not going to take it out. I haven't played it that much yet, so I couldn't tell you if it makes a difference, whatever. But there you have it. Anything else that I forgot? I hope not. Interesting controls. They had little rubber thingies in them, but they popped out because this guitar is about 35 years old now, so they broke. And this guy who bought this guitar, he really didn't play it much at all. It looks new. Same frets. So, and I paid very little money for it. So if you can find one of these, get yourself one of these. Very, very, very cool guitars. I'm not going to play it now because, you know, whatever. So there you have it. The Ibanez 540R, made in Japan.